Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to another live video from Peak Potential Family Chiropractic, where I want to come on here and give you tangible tips to make life a little bit easier, right? And for you and your child to reach your peak potential. So today I want to talk about some ways to navigate a meltdown as it is happening, because those are real. I have me and Sam have almost a 2.5-year-old. She's 2 and like a quarter now. So we have been through our fair share of the big meltdowns. And I know just from experience how just like upsetting and confusing and frustrating and just kind of like helpless you can feel as a parent when you're in the middle of it. And then I know with the work that I do here and the awesome kids that I get to work with here, that those meltdowns can continue well past 2 years old, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, sometimes all the way up until high school. And so I want to give you guys some tips to help for in the moment when that is happening. So the first thing is that to decrease the amount of demand that is happening for them. And I'm not talking about if you're asking them to put on their shoes and that's the thing that, completely flips the lid. So I'm not saying then abandon them having to put on their shoes. Yes, you obviously need to take a breath right there and then get back to the task. But what I'm actually talking about with demand is more of a sensory demand. So if there is a TV on in the background, turn off the TV. If there's music playing, turn off the music. If there are lots of lights on, turn off the lights. Because what's happening, first off, because my training and my big thing and my message out to the community is there's always a reason for the behavior. And so there is a reason why your child is having a hard time in the moment and then expressing it as an emotional expression. Yes, to put it nicely. Because I know that sometimes it can feel like a lot more than an emotional expression, but we will call it that, an emotional expression, because at the core, that's really what it is. So yes, we first need to figure out, okay, why is that happening? And neurologically what's happening is they are not in their prefrontal cortex, their place where they can make logical decisions and also understand social engagements. So that's why the meltdowns can happen in Target, and you may be completely beside yourself because there are tons of people around and you're just like, oh my God, I need to get out of here as fast as I can, or we need to literally shrink into the ground as fast as we can because there's tons of people here in Target, but your child has no awareness of that. And that literally they do not have any awareness that there are other people watching them, or that they are in a situation that may not be socially acceptable for them to have this expression. And that's because they're not in their prefrontal cortex, which is responsible, again, for the logic and reasoning portion and for the social awareness. They are in their brainstem, which is responsible for the fight or flight or freeze stress response of the body. And that is why they are either fighting you or trying to run away from you or completely shutting down into themselves and maybe refusing to leave that exact spot that they are in. And so again, first off, just you understanding, they're in the lowest part of their brain. They're in the most primitive part of their brain. And so I need to help get them back to their highest part where we can then move on and get the shoes on and get out to the house, or get whatever needs to be bought at Target and get out of there, right? So again, the first thing to really help your child in that situation is to decrease that demand. So again, if you're in a situation that you can decrease the sensory input that's going up into their brain, then do that. Again, I know that that can't necessarily happen if you're in Target, but maybe, you know, you can get creative and like help cover their ears, or help like shade their eyes, because I know that like places like Target, it's just like you walk in there and you're like, whoa, this is so bright. And that might be the reason that their brain is going into the fight or flight state, because it can't handle that sensory input. But if you're at your house in a situation where you can turn off the lights, turn off the music, stuff like that, just lower their demand. And then here is another huge piece of it, and something that you can control in any environment that you're in, because it's about you. So you are going to decrease their demand by not talking. And the reason why that is because if we look at how language develops, the most primitive part and the first part of language development is actually gesturing. So thinking back to when your child was a baby, right? It was all pointing and clapping their hands. And I mean, that's why baby sign language is so great, because it's all about gesturing. But that does not need any sound, right? It's actually the best if it doesn't have any sound at all and you're just gesturing. So that's why you need to, even though I know that you are in a higher part in your brain at the moment and you're trying to help them through that situation. So even if you are on your way to the most fun thing that your child could ever experience, their favorite place in the whole world, and all they need to do is get their shoes on and their coat on and then get in the car, but yet the meltdown is happening. You continuously saying, okay, just put on your shoes, put on your coat, put on your shoes, put on your coat, and then we're gonna go to the park, we're gonna go to the birthday party, it's gonna be so much fun. Oh my gosh, your grandma's gonna be there, your grandpa's gonna be there, your cousin is gonna be there. Oh, you haven't seen your cousin in so long. You see what just happened there, right? You just talk and talk and talk and talk. And I know, because I've been there, that is my main strategy. Most of our strategies is to try and logically get your child to do what you want. And that is to, stop with the meltdown and eat their breakfast or put on their shoes and their coat and then leave. But that's not where they're at. Because again, when we talk about language development, it goes gesturing, and then receptive language, so that's the ability to hear, understand words, what you're saying, and then expressive, to respond appropriately. And it's been fascinating with Luca because I've been able to watch this language progression happen, because she's right in the place of now like getting really great at expressive language, which is really fun. But it started with gesturing, right? She used to gesture, please. And then we could say things I knew that receptive language was happening because we would say things like, go find your shoes, and she would go find her shoes without me pointing to them. So I knew that she could hear me and understand what I was saying. And then now she can say shoes. So it's been fun just to watch that. But again, what I'm saying here in this video is we do not want to get into that expressive, receptive language when they are down again in their brainstem, in their lowest part, when really they need gestures. So it may, and also, maybe you have no idea why the meltdown is happening, but you asking them what's wrong, what is upsetting you, that's them. You're asking them to engage with expressive language at the moment. And that again is just not where their brain is at at the moment. And so you, again, asking them, and then maybe even giving them a few options. Oh, did your brother upset you? Are you sad that the dog is sleeping? Do you want to keep watching your TV show? Again, you're asking them to engage in expressive language, which then can further cause chaos within their brain and further cause that fight or flight reaction to happen. And we want to help get their brain out of that as quickly as possible so that then you can move on with your day, right? And so lower the demand, and then you lower the amount of what you're saying. And do not ask them to engage with expressive language back to you at that exact moment. And so honestly, it can be like you go like that, you're like, if you want them to come sit next to you and put on their shoes, like you're literally